Architecture doesn't really demand 24 hours of the day. What it needs is 100% of you or 100% of your output.
As a student, you guys should stop this thing that architecture is everything. It is not. Start now and start prioritizing things. Go to church, go out, make friends, do other things. You're a human being.
Sometimes you have students that you talk to prior to their jury and you ask them, how long did you sleep? They're like 0, 0, 0. And everybody is walking around as if it's a badge of honor.
For so many architects, when you ask them if 24 hours is enough for them to achieve everything they've set out to achieve, a lot of them will tell you that 24 hours is not enough. So how come 24 hours is no longer enough for architects? I mean, we are going to be engaging in this conversation with these gentlemen in the house. You know, in architecture, they say even ladies are gentlemen. So permit me to introduce the lady too as a gentleman. I am Anosike Chisom, and with me,
Obodo Eugene Eina.
Ogona Fivo.
Today we are going to be talking about time management for architecture students and professionals. How to maintain work-life balance. To start, why do we think time management is even a thing in architecture? Why does it matter?
Time management matters a lot because we as architects, we deal with deadlines, we deal with time frame for submissions, and it's necessary. If you are not conscious of how you work out your time and how you make use of the time you have, there is no way you can meet up with your goals and expectations. You will always lag behind and you will always feel like a failure.
You looked at Eugene somehow.
Very good.
Why do you think time management matters in architecture?
I think it's necessary and it's important to time management is important as an architecture student just to survive basically, because if you are not organized and disciplined, it can really ruin your life to some extent. So yeah, I think it's very important.
Well, for me, my take is simple. The architecture, both as a profession and as a course, you know, in the school, it's time demanding. And because of that, it's important that you plan your time so that you don't get things mumbled up. Then also, as professionals, you have a lot of tasks to deal with, both from coordinating designs in the office and, you know, managing clients, ensuring that works are done properly at the site. You realize that the architect actually has a lot on his hands. So that is why it's very important for the architect to organize or manage his time properly, so that you get to coordinate the works very well, and of course you get to have a promising outcome. I can remember back in those days in school where you have designs to handle, you have some other courses, and you must pass all of them. So you realize that in most times students pay unnecessary attention to one particular course or few particular courses at the detriment of the other courses, and you just see all the whole thing coming out in their results at the end of the semester. So what has been some of the challenges you think students face, especially when they enter the schools of architecture? And what is your own experience? Let's start with the students, the challenges they face before we go into professionals.
Okay. As a student, especially during my undergraduate, I faced challenges, time management challenges, especially when it came to me submitting my assignments. And this was as a result of expectations from the lecturers, the time crunch that they had for us, different lectures, different assignments, and you might end up submitting some of them very close together. Another time management issue was as a result of me wanting to make extra money or ends meet, and I had to take up more jobs. Now, it wasn't just based on architecture. It was actually freelancing on so many things.
Outside architecture.
Yes, outside architecture. So it really was a challenge trying to juggle all of them together.
I hope you don't mind if I probe in a little.
Okay.
What are those so many things
Exactly. I
that
wanted
you've
to ask.
dabbled into besides
Okay.
architecture? What are so many things you've been freelancing on?
Okay, so I love writing, and I had to start very early. It was really really inspired by my dad and my brother,
Okay, interesting.
and I had to start early writing. Then the next thing I did that actually messed up my time, or was part of the challenges, was baking. I really love baking. I am the kind of person you would call 11 p.m., 12 a.m., early in the morning. Please, that you have to give somebody a birthday cake or a surprise cake.
And you deliver the
And
next day.
I would rush and do it because I know I have lectures as early as 8 o'clock. So my only time for delivery will have to be from 6 to 7 a.m. I just have to do it. And all this is
Interesting.
just to make ends meet.
So architects do bake, right? So what have been your challenge
Okay, so
as a student of architecture, both past
as
and
a
present? You know, you were in undergraduate days and you're now in your postgraduate days. So what have
okay.
been your challenge with time
Um,
management?
when I was in BSc, I guess, just everything all together as a student, I think I am always, will I say, my issue is being delusional about what I can achieve and how much time I have left to work. So it's always like, oh, I want to do so much at so little time, something like that. And I know at the back of my mind that I'll not be able to meet up with this thing. But I still feel like, no, let me just keep pushing that I'm able to try and meet up with it. And that's like messing up my schedule or time things. And that's like very messed up. Another thing is knowing when to stop. Being a creative, it's like there's this like roller coaster going on in my head, and sometimes being the person that is starting the project, I don't know when it's okay. I don't know when this is actually presentable. I've been looking at it from when I started, so it's always like it's never okay. You get, so I just keep working and working and keep touching and keep working and touching and keep working. Yeah, because there's this saying that if you're given a design, if they give you a year to do a design, that you can never finish, even when that 12 months elapsed, you can never finish because you want to keep working.
Adding something.
You still want to add something here. So that was always an issue. It's still an issue, but like, yeah.
So put simply, when you are given a task, you don't know when to stop.
Yeah.
You just keep trying to get everything right,
Yes.
like, and you keep going and going, like in a
Yeah.
loop. Okay. Well, for me as a student, the biggest time management challenge I faced was having to start things earlier than I would have started. For example, what I mean is when I came into my first year, I had this roommate who was in final year, and the guy was the type of person that spends a lot of time in the studio trying to put up his designs and meet up with deadlines. So he started dragging me to studios, started pulling all-nighters at a very early stage in my 100 level. So it also affected some of the times I dedicated to the courses I was even supposed to be doing at my level. Then the second challenge I had was balancing those studio works that I started earlier. I was going there to trace for some of my senior colleagues, and tracing is a very delicate thing.
Yeah, I started
So,
making
Yes.
money from this thing in
Arab.
first year.
well,
Yes, eh.
it would have been Arab if I was getting paid for it.
Shit.
At that time, I never had that mindset that we do these things for money. Actually,
Oh.
that culture lasted for a long time.
Yes.
A lot of students were doing things free for their senior colleagues. It wasn't about the money at the time.
It was
It was
about the
later on
experience.
that when generations of students came, probably the economy became tougher
So,
and they started asking for money for these things. What we get as probably incentive for doing these things is that when our seniors finish, they will hand over their tracing pen to us. That's like the biggest reward we'll get. Besides the fact that probably each day you come, they may give you something to eat or
that means you had
thereabouts.
so
But
many
the biggest reward was inheriting the drawing instrument of your students. To us, that was the highest because back then, Stedler pens were expensive, at least
True.
It's
based
still
on the economy
expensive.
then.
Yes.
Rotring, which was the second expensive, was still there. But imagine inheriting this from probably 2 or 3 students. You have the set of pens you need. I bought pens myself, but I wasn't buying sets because I always had pens. Thanks to the fact that I started helping these senior colleagues on time.
Okay.
Then another thing that also affected my time management was taking up part-time gigs in school just to make ends meet. These part-time gigs were coming in form of doing assignments for students. Sometimes probably you can do these, we're writing cards and the rest. So they actually took a large chunk of my time. So what about professionals? What do you think the time management challenge they have are? What are their time management challenges in your own little years of practice?
Okay. For myself, I have had this issue with meeting up with clients time frame.
But if you've made it to this point, please like, subscribe, and turn on the notification button. And action.
Now, this usually comes in form of a time frame where the client tells my boss, this is when he or she needs this particular work. Now, I need to meet up with submitting to my boss first, meaning that the timeline is going to be shortened because my boss needs to vet my work before he gives it to the client.
So if client gives a deadline of, let's say the 3rd of June, for example, your boss may want it probably on the 1st so that he can take time
Or
to
even
review.
ending of the month.
Oh, ending
So
of
that
the month.
he
Ending
would
of May.
actually, exactly. So that is one major issue. Meeting up with timelines or time frames that are very, very short, just like as a student. Then another one is also trying to juggle my own private jobs with working in an office system and also as a student. So professional life doesn't end with you working. It also matters that there are other things that you're doing that would affect them. Then another issue or time management challenge in the office is having responsibilities. Now, if you had a team, you would be in a situation whereby you are vetting not only your own work or doing your own part of the project, you're also vetting people's
what your
other
team
work.
members are doing.
Exactly. So looking at other people's work, you have to actually look at it as if you're doing the work.
Okay.
That is the best way to actually vet someone's work, as if you're doing the work. Meaning that you're spending a few minutes more than you should, or a couple of days even, just to vet the entire work that the person has taken maybe weeks to do. And you're trying to vet all of them in a few minutes or hours. So all these coupled with working and being a student, they're all challenges that I face.
Wow, that's good. And all these things require a lot of time to be able to achieve.
Exactly.
So that poses a serious challenge.
That
to
24 hours
manage.
in reality is not
It's
enough.
not enough to carry out all
Even if they
this.
increase it, it will still not be enough. It will still not be enough.
Even if they extend it to 30 hours a day,
Exactly.
let's say we decide to reset our watches, our time, and
It's still not
everything,
going to be enough.
we'll still be struggling to meet up. I mean, it's a serious challenge.
It's a
What has been your own experience?
I think it's the same with what he said. But the additional thing I'm going to be adding is creative block. So with having to do your personal project, office work, and also like your other stuffs, your brain has to be active to some level to always turn up for these 3 things. So it's like there's no time to breathe, something like that. So it's like trying to turn up for all of them and your brain is not ready. It's like a challenge. And that one is not, I don't know if it has to do with time management or so, but it can like mess up your schedule and all.
I mean, if it is going to take your time to do,
yes.
that means you need to manage it. I need to add it to your.
How can I
your
manage
you need to
creative
add-
block?
Because it's going to take you. If you are going to do probably a creative exercise, for example, within an hour, and you're having creative block, it means it's going to take you longer.
Yeah.
You have to find a way to make sure that your
That's
brain
what I'm
is
saying.
sharp.
I don't know if like exactly if there's a way to manage
So what
creative
happens
block.
is you have to know when you are in
At
your
your
best
peak.
shape,
Exactly.
to like your peak, to be able to solve creative problems very quickly, like provide solution, creative
Right.
solutions. So, I mean, you have to manage it.
Anyways,
That's
so
why there's one thing a lecturer used to say back in the day. You say, "Man, know thyself." If you know
Oh,
that you are the type of
Exactly.
person that performs very well very early in the morning, you start planning your activities, all those activities that require creativity, start planning them within the time that your brain is sharp so that you can be able to perform very well on those tasks. Yes.
okay. But what if, according to how you did, maybe how you broke down the work into pieces, like you said, creative tasks early in the morning, and the early morning reach still nothing, the brain
You
refuses to be
find
like,
it. So what you do, in my own personal opinion, I think what you do is, let's say you perform better in the morning hours, right? And you plan to carry out a task that requires creativity
okay,
in the morning. You need to also have another task that can immediately substitute for it in case you're
it's
not
not
able to
working.
carry out this one effectively. You just substitute, get productive.
But the
That's
deadline of
part
that
of
one
time
is in the evening.
management. Eh?
The deadline of that one is in the evening.
But that's what I say. When you plan yourself, you know the next in life
Yeah.
that you can easily do without thinking so much about it.
Oh
For
yeah.
example, there are tasks that you can actually just, go online, you research, get articles, read,
Yeah.
and you extract information. Those ones don't require so much creativity
Okay.
compared to when you are working on a project that you need to start from nothing and you need to be creative all along till the day you finish off
Yes.
that project. I mean, it's just about planning. That's what we're talking about,
Right.
time management. How
Okay.
do you manage your time
Okay.
effectively
But
to
like,
ensure that you don't get burnt out?
yeah. But like, creative block is like a contingency that I cannot control. It's just, it happens, and yeah, I try my best to come out of it, but it's still there. I think that's it. And then also this the whole timeline stuff of when, like he said, the stuff about your clients, the clients to for the office giving our boss a certain deadline and him coming like sometime before the deadline to come for the work. So most times that time when he's going to come to like vet the work, he might not like what you have done and might have to require to start again. And when you're starting again for the second time, you're not given the amount of time you were given the first time. So it's like a shorter time and you still have to try and meet up. You get, so it's like we're always at an edge. We're like, yeah.
Interesting. So those are challenges you face as a professional. Then for me, I want to come from the angle of the fact that when most clients come to the architects, which we have experienced a lot of time in our office, sometimes they can come to you telling you, okay, this project we have, let's say a week deadline, a week period to deliver this project. Then suddenly they now come again to you 2 days later and tell you that we need to deliver this project like tomorrow, please. So you now realize that it becomes a challenge for the architect. You have a project timeline and suddenly there's a crunch period where they will tell you, please, if we don't deliver this thing, we are losing this particular job or we are losing this or that. So, I mean, it's a challenge. Then the second challenge with time management for most of the professionals in architecture is, managing both the office works, managing the clients, and managing the site work. Because for an architect, you need to ensure that you see your projects through, both from
Yes.
concept development to
So
the actual construction on site. So imagine managing all these activities. And besides, you are not dealing with one project at a time. You can have probably, if an architectural firm that know what they are doing, right? You can have probably 2 to 3 projects or 4 or even more running at the same time. So imagine you managing either a section of those projects or all those projects. They actually require your time. Then the other thing too is that these days architects go into a lot of things. Some go into business, some go into content creation, like we can see it almost everywhere, right? So it's also another thing that is struggling for your time. Because as architects, we are trying to make ends meet. And besides, we found ourselves in an economy where if you are not doing multiple things, you find it hard to
Exactly.
actually survive. So all of these things are actually things that are competing for the architect's time. So these are challenges that they need to work on how to manage them critically in order for any one of them not to suffer. So imagine if you're the type of architect that is not meeting up with clients' deadlines. Most clients may not be coming to you. So at the end of the day, you want to meet up with deadlines. You want to ensure that the quality you are actually delivering is the highest the client can get anyway, so that the clients keep coming back. So let's go to techniques that have actually helped you as a student to manage your time. And some of those techniques, let's just go through them. what have helped you as a student? Because I know that if you've not managed your time properly, I mean,
wouldn't
you
have
wouldn't
graduated.
have been at the level where you are now.
True.
Right.
True. Okay, so I'm going to subdivide mine into formal techniques and informal techniques.
Okay.
I'm going to start with
Interesting.
informal techniques. So one of the informal techniques was the use of friends. And what this means is that people hold you accountable for certain timelines that you're meant to pull out or obtain. Something that is obtainable. So you need people that are like-minded.
Okay.
And I would say I was opportune to have that kind of people around me. So if, for example, we're given an assignment in school or a design, and usually it comes as a design brief will be given on Monday, and in the next 2 weeks, you're expected to come out with certain number of preliminary sheets. Now, this comes with you analyzing the brief and everything else, doing your site analysis. So what we usually do as friends is that somebody holds each one of us accountable. So I hold the other person accountable, the other person holds me accountable. We ask each other, how far have you gone? That is the major thing that we do for each other.
Sorry to cut you.
Yes.
Are there any punishment, any kind of punishment if you're not able to meet up with your own
Oh,
targets?
okay. So there are no punishments, but to be honest, failure is a huge motivation.
Okay.
The fact that I am being held accountable and I am telling the person I did not do this while the person did his or her own, it's really, really demeaning.
And you don't want to
Yes.
keep being that person that
Exactly.
is always not meeting up
It's
with
not
their
with
task.
yes. So the fact that we are making it a little bit competitive, but in a good way. So there's no reward, but the reward is obviously
Getting
that
the work
I
done.
am yes, getting the work done is the reward. So that is the informal way. Then the formal way for me personally, I use sticker notes. I have a whiteboard at home that I get to write things down. I use sticker notes on my system, and I use an alarm clock. Combining the alarm clock with the sticker notes helps me. So I have a list of things that I want to do, and I place them on a scale of preference. The one that comes first is the one that is most important and most urgent. I just place them in a scale of preference. Then, using my alarm clock, I schedule a time for all these tasks. Whichever one I do, I give myself a checklist. So whichever one I do, I check it off that I've done this. So in all of this, I try as much as possible to add another informal method. And this one is once I'm able to do something, I reward myself.
Okay.
So rewarding myself in what way? I do a task for maybe 1 hour, 2 hours, depending on what I have on my schedule, my alarm schedule. Once I'm done with that task, I reward myself with a series, like one episode out of a series. Usually I did this in university level, a lot in university. So I get to read for 1 hour, 1 hour, 30 minutes, 2 hours. Then I give myself a 30 to 45 minutes break. Now, in this 40 to 35 minutes break, I watch a movie. That is a reward. So usually this was in my BSc level. I get to read and then I watch the movie. I move again to go and read. Now, at some point, I'm obviously going to be hungry. So whenever I am watching that movie, the other task I'm going to try and do at that moment is to eat.
Interesting.
So exactly. So I indirectly I'm using one stone to kill two birds.
Okay,
And-
sorry.
Yes.
So that means I'm visualizing that when you plan, after planning your 5 hours for reading, in between that is 45, 90, 45, that is like 1 hour, 30 something minutes. So you then plan for all these movies that you watch in between.
Yes.
While scheduling for all these
Yes.
things. So your sticker note has watch movie.
Yes. Funny enough, Funny enough, if somebody should ask me, if you check some of my chats with some of my friends and they're like, what did you do today? I would actually list it: woke up, prayed, ate, watch movie slash eating, and then reading slash drawing slash, then I'll now go to another one, watch movie slash eat. So that's the way I actually
It's
schedule
kind
my
of
time.
boring.
So your life will just be on repeat.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So because I, in my BSc, I had little to nothing to do at a certain time in my life.
Okay.
There were certain social activities that were non-existent to me.
Okay.
These were the things I enjoyed, and these were the things that kept me in check.
Okay.
So that is exactly why I had to repeat them.
Well, one thing I like about this particular technique you implemented during your time was that when you are rewarding yourself, you're also eating at the same time.
Exactly.
I mean, as architects, we need to create time to eat. And the reason is very simple. If you are struggling to eat while working at the same time, just one oil stain on your tracing sheet or your,
Everything
your,
is gone.
or
It's
your
lost.
drawing will just
Exactly.
ruin the entire 1 hour or 2 hours work. So it's good that you found a way to combine two activities, both reward and eating at the same time. That's good. Very good.
I think the same with what he said, but the thing I'll be adding that works for me is content creating. So I saw it online. There's this Asian guy that he tutors people on how to be disciplined and try to like ace all your subjects and all. So he was like that. He has so many techniques that he listed, but he was like, oh, that you can try filming yourself while doing a task. And yeah, so the way the thing works is that when I put up my phone and film myself, for me to tell whoever that's going to watch that video after that this is what I was actually doing, I have to actually be doing it, so that's going to come out as real. You get, except I'm not good at acting, except maybe the person is so good at acting that person can do otherwise. But for me, I had to like actually be doing the work, you get, so that the end product is going to turn out nice. So that's one thing that worked for me. Then I think, yeah, same thing we said, the sticky notes, writing down checklists, what's that other one, alarm clock, and all them shenanigans.
Well, interesting. So, what I did back then was basically trying to set priorities. Yeah, because for me as a student, I try to analyze whatever I'm doing at the time. Then I identify the ones that are most challenging for me and the ones that are not as challenging as the other ones. So I try to place the ones that are very challenging and demanding on a very high priority level. Then the other ones, for example, now there are some courses you can actually read and grasp what you're reading immediately, for example. So for me, I know those courses. And I also know those ones that I need to spend extra time doing. So I try to prioritize whatever I'm doing. And that prioritizing of this task helped me to manage the time properly. Another thing I also try to do is to schedule things, right? At every point in time, I always operate with a timetable of what to do, when to do it. And then the most important thing that helped me to put all these things together was discipline. I mean, for you to be able to stick to a plan,
Yeah.
you need discipline.
Yeah.
Because without which, you won't stick to anything. You just have this kind of ADHD, you touch this, you touch this, you touch that. At the end of the day, you didn't achieve any collective thing. So when I prioritize my time, it helped me. And another thing I tried to do was to schedule certain tasks when I know that I can actually do them better than the other.
Okay.
Right? So I schedule certain tasks. For example, the timetables I was operating with, had reading stuff like mathematics, physics, all those things at the time when my brain is very sharp.
Okay.
And that's usually in the morning hours. So,
Okay.
yeah, I try to schedule those things. Then another thing I did was to know when to say no, right? Like I mentioned, we were trying to do small stuffs in school to, get money here and there. And sometimes you realize that those things you are trying to do may clash with some of your important academic activities. So the first thing I want to remember is that the reason why I'm here is first academics, every other thing comes secondary. So I try to know when to say no to some of those stuff, and it's helped me to manage my time.
So you said something about reading maths and physics. So that means your timetable and techniques and everything started like in first year.
Yes, it actually started long before first year. And why I said long before first year was because, okay, prior to the time I entered university, I was working on this culture of reading, sitting at a place and studying for long periods, right? And for each of those studies, I schedule what to study. You get?
Oh.
So all those scheduling of activities was a culture I worked on even before I entered school. So it helped me. It helped me. And if you know me back in the day, I was this kind of discipline and look like if you see me, you think I'm a very
Yes.
strict person that doesn't have any social life. Well, I had my social activities and the rest, but academic was still there.
Wow.
I planned everything. So, but then there are also other time techniques. I mean, time management techniques that can work for professionals. We have the Eisenhower matrix. Now, this Eisenhower matrix involves placing your different tasks into 4 quadrants of importance. Now, the first quadrant of importance is if the task you have to do is urgent and important, you put it in quadrant 1, which means you have to attend to it right away. Then the second one is when it is not urgent, but it is important. In that situation, you can schedule it to work on it some other time. Then the third quadrant will take care of tasks that are urgent but not important.
Okay.
In those kind of tasks, you can delegate it if you have people that can assist you. I mean, in most time, you always have contractors.
Yes.
Or if you're working in an office, you only have subordinates that you can, delegate some of these tasks, especially those working as a team. Can delegate the tasks to some of your team members. Then you now have tasks that are not urgent, not important. And these days, these tasks come up all the time in our schedule. Can see somebody that will just say, let me just go to Instagram and notification just came in.
And you're
Before
carried
you know
away.
it, you are carried away.
Yeah.
But these are things that are actually not urgent. They're not important. In fact, you can be on your bed and do this task. So those ones, you just need to take them to the fourth quadrant and possibly take them away from your schedule. That's for the Eisenhower matrix of time management technique. Then you have another time management technique, the Pomodoro technique. Now, this Pomodoro technique is breaking your task into cycles of 30 minutes, right? You do focused work for 25 minutes, then you take a 5 minutes rest. You now decide what to do within that 5 minute rest. Probably take a walk, press your phone.
Watch movie.
I mean, no,
And
you
eat.
can't watch movie and eat for 5 minutes.
He
I mean, you want to
increases
be
his
like
own
those
now.
people. You want to be like those people that will carry one plate of food to come and watch one series.
Exactly.
I mean, how does it
But
work?
his own is like a bit longer. You know, he said 25.5. He said 2 hours 45 minutes. So
Yes, so which means zone is more like modifying this Pomodoro technique. Instead of working for 25 minutes, probably you can collapse all the 25 minutes into 4, right? That's 100 minutes.
yes.
If you work for 100 minutes, you get like 20 minutes rest. Probably with that 20 minutes, you'll be able to watch half of an episode. So that Pomodoro technique is also a technique most professionals can use to ensure that they manage their time properly. Another thing professionals can also do is to schedule. Most of us these days, if you go to our Google Calendar, like we schedule a lot because we forget. I don't know whether this happens to
yeah.
me as an
Time
architect. I
sheets.
don't know. At my very young age, I used to forget things. Does it happen to you?
It happens. It happens.
Really, I hope it's not a serious medical condition.
Right. I think it's just
Because it's
because we have a
scary.
lot of things to
It's
do.
scary that if you don't keep track of some of these tasks on your calendar, right, you won't be able to remember all of them. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. Probably the sharpest of brain can remember. But these days we try to schedule things in our calendar so that it will help us. So once it's time for a particular task, your calendar will notify you to carry out those tasks. Another thing that can also work for professionals is to set both short-term goals and long-term goals for projects, right? You have a project that is running for 2 weeks, for example. The long-term goal for a project of 2 weeks will be to probably say concept delivery for 2 weeks. Will be to ensure that you deliver a finished concept at the end of 2 weeks. That's the main goal.
Overall goal.
Now, the other short-term goals you can set is, okay, I want to do all the analysis within 2 days. I want to do all the concepts within the next 3 days.
And
I
then
want to make sure that I have all the ideas put together before I even go into the major concept development. I mean, these are the short goals you can set to realize the main goal within the 2 weeks. So professionals can actually break these their task into short goals. Then another thing that professionals can also do, especially when you work in an office where you have large team members, you can try to delegate tasks and then keep up with the team members to ensure that they do this task. These techniques too have worked for many professionals. And I think here in the office too, we do that kind of thing, where you have teams and you have team leads. So when you have a task, you delegate it to the team leads break it down to the team members and keep up with them. So when they keep up with them, they ensure that these tasks are carried out successfully. So there are also digital tools that one can use to manage their time, especially in professional practice. There are digital tools that people can do. Then another thing that is very key with time management as architects is that if we don't manage our times properly, we can easily get burnt out. It happens. Where you are in that state where emotionally you're exhausted, mentally you're exhausted, and even physically, and you don't get to be productive. Has it ever happened to any of you?
yes, it's
Like mad.
I don't think there's any architecture student that it's not part of their reality.
Okay.
But I must say this: 24 hours, irrespective that we claim it is never enough.
Don't claim it's not.
Architecture doesn't really demand 24 hours of the day. What it needs is 100% of you or 100% of your output within any time frame that you have. If not, if we continue that cycle of glorifying sleeping for less than 2 hours in 24 hours, sometimes you have students that you talk to prior to their jury and you ask them, how long did you sleep? They're like 0, 0, 0. And everybody is walking around as if it's a badge of honor. It is not.
Ting, 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 ting.
It is not. We need to stop glorifying the whole nightlife or
All night.
all-nighter life kind of style. No, we need to stop it. I know I've talked to some people where they asked me if I was the studio culture guy. I am not. I never stayed in the studio for once, like overnight, to do my design.
Really?
For once, I
In
never
BSc,
did.
MSc.
Throughout
Throughout.
BSc.
I feel like I want to investigate this thing. You
I
better open
never
up now, because if I find out, the
I
head gonna
never-
be funny.
I never slept in the studio for once. For my studio work.
No, wait. You did not sleep, like you did not stay overnight.
I
in
did not
studio.
stay
Where did
overnight.
you stay overnight?
My house.
But
But-
you did do overnight.
Yes,
Okay.
obviously you do overnight. Yes.
All right.
It's-
So
it's-
the only thing was that you were working
not do it
solo
in-
at home, but you were not doing it in the
in
studio.
studio.
Exactly.
But you were
And
doing
then
it comfortably at
comfortably,
Okay.
yes.
Cool.
Because if we check the studio lifestyle, we would see that some of them are not so conducive. And the time you're meant to stay on one place that is conducive to do certain things, just because I have a clean environment, a good desk, fan, an appropriate space for you to work,
to work.
you would not even consume the time that you're wasting trying to be in a disorganized space.
Space.
A disorganized space, you're looking for your eraser. You would spend
Hey,
like 5 minutes looking for
Looking
it.
for it.
And that's precious time that you're meant to use and do something else.
I still lose my pencil in my room. I still lose my
That's
pencil in my
now a
room.
different case. But in studio, I understand.
Yeah.
You can just keep your working instruments on your desk. Before you can turn right,
Yeah.
and turn left again, is missing.
The real owners will
And
take it.
sometimes it may not even be the real owner. It may just be somebody who innocently came to borrow it without telling you. Next thing, that thing you just split within split second, that thing is at the other end of the class. You walk there again, you pick it up. I mean,
You're wasting
you're wasting
time.
time. Yeah,
Exactly.
I get.
Okay, I want
get.
to add something to this.
Yes.
Here. I think the issue with staying in the studio, why some people work in the studio and why people work at home, is that at home is like home has the idea of comfort. So your brain is like chill and comfortable, and most people need that like pressure for them to work. That's why they go to the studio. And why they go to studio is that when they see other people working, they are pushed to work. But then the thing that the like bad side of studio is that some people come to studio for vibes. You know, like like if you come to studio in the night and see everybody work, it's only a few people that actually came that know what they're doing.
Yes.
The rest are there
Yes.
waiting for somebody to finish drawing for them to collect and trace. Some are there to play game. Some are there to come and talk about what is it called, football and this their life score shit and all. Some are there to come and argue about Messi and Ronaldo. Who is this da 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 da. And yeah, but like for the material parts, I know that when I used to go to studio then, because I don't used to go all the time. I go like when I need to achieve, like I want to stay up all through the night and work. So I had a fanny pack that I used to use to carry all my materials then, so that anywhere I'm at, have it there, so that I don't have to like stress my brain to come and look for who's with this, who's with this, who's with this. So I just think that the people that go to studio, they just need that pressure. But like staying at home, it's like you're just chill. Like now that we don't do this whole studio stuff now, it's like when I'm working at home, I'm just like working at my own pace. But like that time when I have the 5 minutes breaks and I pick up my phone and I see that one of my classmates posted on his or her story and the person has gone far, I just feel like, oh my god, I'm dulling. Like no, I can't be doing this. You get, there's this drive for me to like speed up. So that those are the little things and little reasons why people actually go to studio. Although some things have been abused, but like, yeah.
I mean, I get there are a lot of pros working in the studio, and there are cons too. So that we can dedicate that to an entire video talking about the benefits of working in the studio and also the disadvantages that come with it, right? So, have you ever, like, at some point in your time as a student, you've experienced getting burnt out, and how did you recover? And how do you try to avoid the future repetition of things like that?
Oh my god.
So in my own situation, it came as a result of lecturers demanding certain outputs from your work. And then when you are able to do that, or you think you were able to do that, they make changes. Making those changes require you still working with the deadline from school when you're meant to do your presentation. And okay, this one comes as a result of design. So when you're making your presentation, you still need to work with the timeline for the presentation, design
Yes,
presentation.
of course.
Your lecturer or your mentor or your supervisor might make changes that are so drastic that you have to scrap the entire work. Now, I've had the situation whereby this happened in my final year, BSc 4, undergraduate BSc 4. So I had to design a hotel, and I came up with so many iterations for that design. Now, close to the week we were meant to do our preliminary design, they made changes to my work. I did those changes. I came for the prelim. They cancelled everything. The jurors, not just my mentor now, it was now the jurors. And out of all this, we had 2 weeks to prepare for the final jury, which requires ACON coming to school. It means I have to start afresh. And I did not have the time.
2 weeks.
Exactly. So all these things is actually one of the reasons why we have to pull that all-nighter. Now, how was I able to scale through all of them? Managing my time. One is starting on time. So they gave me that correction. I don't have to go back home and sleep for 8 hours like we all do after a very hectic presentation. I just had to start working that very day.
Okay.
If there were other things that I needed to do to submit, so other assignments, 10 papers, I had to prioritize that this one comes first and I have to pull this one out as fast as possible. Then again, accountability from my friends, talking with them, it's like a therapy session for me. You discussing about the design, them telling you what they think about the design, you trying to juggle everything that you know about the design and putting it into paper. It helps. So no man is an island. They've actually told us this countless of times. If you think you can stay on your own and work things out, you're wasting time.
Okay.
You are definitely wasting time. So talk to people, be around people, and you are definitely bound to figure things out.
Okay. Well, you've talked a lot about burnout in school
Yes.
as a student.
Yes.
Have you experienced such in your few years of professional practice? And if yes, what helped you? Are there any activities that helped you to, recharge?
Yes. Okay. So as a professional, yes, I've experienced it. Now, this isn't really a situation I would blame an office work. It's actually my own private
personal-
work
okay.
encroaching into my office work. So, as a professional, yes, I've experienced burnout. Clients having crunch deadlines or unrealistic deadlines. I've had a situation whereby a friend of mine, which is indirectly the client, asked me to produce a certain design, and he told me this by 1 p.m. in the afternoon. And he was expecting me to get it out for him by 5 p.m.
Who be that?
That's
Now,
around
he,
4 hours.
yes,
What
and
kind of task is that?
Exactly.
this was a 5-bedroom duplex,
Okay.
and he wanted it because the client requested for specific things, and he couldn't pull that design out because he had other things he was doing. So he called me and was like, "Can you do this? Let's at least get paid for
Sorry,
it."
He said
sorry.
yes.
Yes.
Did he say yes to it?
Yes. Just like I said, it's you trying to make ends meet is actually a challenge. So,
Okay.
and from what we've learned today, saying no is one technique
Saying
that
no
you
will
need.
not
But,
kill you,
but,
I
but
like to
wait,
say.
Yes.
We all know that there's a certain amount is going to call for that thing. That saying no is not an option.
Exactly.
So
That
is
is
that
what
what
I-
happened?
yes, that is the
I'm
situation.
support.
That's the situation. Because we needed the money. We
Okay.
knew he could get more out of the whole situation.
Urgency.
Yes. Because there's this thing that they say, if it's going to be cheap, it's if it's going to be cheap, and if it's not going to, if you don't have a short timeline to do it, that means it might not be a very good work.
Okay.
If it's not going to be cheap, and I also have a very short timeline, it's going to be expensive. So that, in that situation, is exactly what happened. So we knew the pay was going to equate to the stress we were going to go through. So we had to do it.
Okay.
Now, like I said, this was the challenge. Me taking up extra things that I should have just said no and to go ahead and sleep. Enjoy your rest. But I didn't. So I was now faced with burnout after the whole thing.
Okay.
Now, how did I scale through in this kind of situations? I am lucky to have a boss that is also my friend. He introduced me to lawn tennis. Now, whenever we are really, really trying to let things go or
Let steam
unwind,
off. Let off
yes,
steam.
let off blow off steam,
Blow off steam.
we play lawn tennis. It's one of the activities that we do. And again, when I was in BSc, I didn't have certain kind of financial opportunities that I have now.
Okay.
And I couldn't do certain things that have financial implications.
Like what?
Unwinding, going to a restaurant to eat.
Really?
Solo dates are
Ooh.
really, really nice. Solo dates.
So you are living the life now compared
Right.
to the time you were young.
Compared to
Compared
my
to your
undergraduate,
first degree days.
yes,
Okay,
yes.
okay. It's interesting. You're going to give us the secret of living the life. I mean, I'm interested. I'm
Alright.
curious.
So yes, it's actually one of the things. Unwinding after a long day
Or a
going to
long
an
week.
yes, or a long week, or anything just to unwind,
Okay.
I would go on solo dates, go to a full cinema, and if you're lucky, you won't see anybody in the cinema. You'll just be the only person in that whole studio, which is an excellent thing to do. It's really,
You'll be the
really,
only person in the theater
it is
watching a
interesting.
movie.
Yes, it is interesting. And I must say, everybody should try it.
You try. Are you going to pay out the whole place, or you just go
No.
there?
No, you
paying
just
the
No,
only
go.
person?
no, you just go. And
think it
if you're
Paying
depends.
the only
lucky,
person.
I
If
think it
you're
depends on
lucky,
the time you
yes.
go, actually.
What if the movie is not interesting? That's why people didn't come.
No, if you go in the night time, there's a high
You-
chance that you're going to
you-
be the only person there.
Yes.
Really, and they
Yes.
would put up the movie.
Yes.
Yes. You paid for it. They will.
Hey, that's it too. What about you? Have you experienced burnout?
I cannot talk about the word burnout without talking about my estate design in final year. Jesus Christ, it was terrible. It was terrible. We had to design a high rise. That was a new project on its own, and then we had to design a like units for the estate stuff. So it was a lot. The project was demanding. Every time we had to always turn up, and this is just design. There are still other courses, and like the way our school curriculum is, when you get to final year, it's almost like every course gives you design as an assignment. It's always like a design something as assignments, excluding the main design. So it was terrible. Jesus Christ, I was sleeping 2 hours. I could remember that the times I slept well was 5 hours max, and it happened like maybe like twice a week or something. I was always active, and it was not nice. Because like when I actually like told myself that, so this is the burnout that people talk about, was on like 3 days before the final presentation. As at that point, we already done our second prelim. They have corrected the whole thing all, and then we have to like do again, and all and all and all. So I did not sleep on the day 3. I didn't sleep on the day 2. I didn't sleep. I'm going in descending order. And then the day 1, that is like the night before this thing, I was like, finally, this is the last day. I'm going to get this thing done after my presentation. Then I rest. I didn't know my body had other plans. I was doing my model.
You do your models yourself.
Such is life, mate.
Really?
No.
Yes.
Like I think when I stopped, so it was like the time I did not do my model myself was in final year, second semester. That's one that
So
I had.
up until that time, you were doing it yourself.
Yes.
Interesting.
Anyways, so I cannot remember what happened. I don't know. I can't remember what happened. It was like I closed my eyes and opened it. But that closing my eyes and opening was that I woke up by 5 a.m. the next day. My model was undone. My side sheet was not inked. My concept sheet empty. The high-rise roof plan empty. I broke down. I was like, at this point, there's nothing else I can do. I was trying. I was still pushing even at that point, because I was like, I cannot go through all these things and then not present. It was terrible. I could not explain what I was going. Was emotionally, mentally, physically, everything. I was in chaos. It was bad. It was so bad. But like, thank God for my friends. If you can see this, I love you guys. They pulled up for me that time. I called them. I was like, Jesus Christ, I'm in soup. This is this. I don't know what to do. This is this. And they actually came. They helped me out, and I was able to present. Although I did not finish everything, but thanks to God, I was able to present. I actually got A in that design. So that was my first time experiencing like my body saying, I know they do again. My brain say, I know do. Like everybody was not working with me, and it was terrible. And after that experience, I told myself that this will never ever happen to me again, ever in my life.
So what activities you do, or how do I put it now? When you see signs that you're about to get burned out, right?
Yeah.
What activities do you involve in to reduce the pressure
Prevent
on
it,
you?
to reduce the pressure.
On you, yes, and probably take your mind away from
Okay.
work.
So he said something about exercise. Me, I don't know, like the exercise part, I'm visualizing in the sense that if I have a short time to deal with the burnout, I don't know. I don't know. I'm like, will you like stand up and just carry stuff and hey, I'm going to go and play a lot of things. After playing, I'll come back and continue. Something like that. But it's like a short term something that happens for me. It's not a big deal. I just stop and I play music. Music works a lot, like mad. I have different genres of music for different moods in my life, and I have that for burnout. So it's like when it's happened, if I need to get it settled at that point, I just play music and then try to like calm my nerves and all. In as much as my brain might not pick up ASAP, but like to some extent, I get to calm everything down so that I don't like break down or stuff like that. Then also resting, sleeping. I don't think it can ever be overemphasized. Sleep is sweet die. It is it's the real deal. You get.
Okay.
So sleeping works too. Just taking a pause at that point that I start feeling like it's about to come or it's going to happen. Then I just have to just stop at that point, then chill, and then start again. And I think another thing is taking cold baths.
How do you maintain work-life balance? Now that you are working and you're also studying at the same time, doing your postgraduate programs, how do you ensure that you maintain at least a good work-life balance? What has worked for you?
Okay. For me, I've been again opportune to have friends that are really, really like-minded. So we try as much as possible to unwind, even if it's not so long, like the timing that we're going to, or the time frame that we're going to use and unwind isn't going to be long, at least to some extent. We play games in the office. We do certain things that would actually make an impact, that we can look back and then be like, hey, we did this so and so day, let's do so and so thing another day. That's number one. Having good friends or like-minded friends. Another one is being disciplined. So I'll use this as an example. I know that every morning on Sunday that I love going to church in the morning. So from, let's say, 6:30 or 5 o'clock until 8 to 9 o'clock, that I am going to dedicate that 2-3 hours, both for preparing and going to church. That's both for preparation, for going to church, and then also for coming back. So I have like maybe 2-3 hours for it. And I love going for masses in the morning because then I am fresh. My acuity is just on point. So
Active.
I just go in that morning time frame, and nothing else is going to stop me from doing that at that time. Being disciplined enough for me to know that this time is for work, this time is for something else.
So more like setting boundaries.
Yes, setting
Time
boundaries.
for work,
Yes,
time
is for time for work, and then time for any other activity is time for that activity. That is another thing that has helped me. So another thing that helps me is me having certain rituals. And the reason why I'm going to use rituals is because I love doing certain things that are repetitive.
Okay.
Just like I mentioned earlier, I didn't have a social life in school, and there are certain things that helped me then. So things that are a bit ritualistic, a bit repetitive, helps me. Now I have weekly rest ritual that on Sunday or sometimes on Saturday and on Sunday, I switch off my devices and I sleep.
Okay.
Nothing else is going to wake me up. Nothing else is going to affect that time frame
Until you've gotten enough rest.
until I've gotten that sleep that I want or that rest that I want. So there are so many other things that I've been able to do. Maybe small iterations there and there, like scheduling my life and having to do my favorite things, just like I mentioned earlier, like playing lawn tennis, playing chess. Another thing, baking, cooking. anything that has to do with food,
This
What's
guy,
wrong with
it
cereal?
helps.
this guy is just
It
different.
helps.
I say
It
it
Baking,
helps.
cooking.
Like,
I mean,
I think I can relate to this
It
ritual
helps.
stuff that you talked about.
Yes.
It might sound, but like there are some times when things are just like, oh my god, and I'm like, in fact, I don't even care. Just stand up. I gotta do my nails, do my hair, do my this, do my that. I just feel happy, and that's just it. And then I just chill, and that's just it. It does this thing that I don't know how to explain that it does afterwards, like rejuvenating or
Yes.
stuff like that. Like you're born again, and then
Yes.
it's like, yeah, I can relate to that.
So coming back to the rest part, there's this thing I also do, but this is actually as a situation where I know I have other things I'm going to do that will take a long period of time, and I might not get that rest that I want. So I take power naps. Anything that is not less than 20 minutes, but not more than 40 minutes. The reason being that if you take anything less than 20 minutes, you're still going to get tired. And if you take anything more than 40 minutes, you're dozing off. And you might not wake up till your body says, I am okay now. So taking those power naps, they help me. And funny enough, I've done them a couple of times and I've noticed that, yes, this thing helps me a lot.
okay. So for me, let me even start with life as a student. What helped me to maintain both work-life balance, right? So I started by setting boundaries. Time for academic activities were there. Time for other activities that include religious, social, sporting activities. I created time for them. So I try to ensure that I do them, even though not always religiously, right? But I try to make sure that I keep to those times. For example, I had time for reading, time for probably going to the hostel, gisting, and all that. So I try to set boundaries. Then the second thing that helped me too is to make time for rest. I could remember that we usually get so exhausted that after our design presentations, like you just drop on your bed like a log of
True.
wood and off you go. Sometimes my roommates will just be wondering, this guy has been here for like more than 12
Still
hours
alive.
now and he hasn't even moved. He hasn't even gotten up to say, oh, I'm pressed, I want to urinate. Let's wake him up, oh. Like, I mean, secreted time for rest. It happens, especially after design presentation. You just feel this kind of burden, heavy burden lifted off your shoulders. Meanwhile, you have exams to prepare for. But I know for most architecture students, exam is not the fear. The fear is always doing a successful design presentation.
Yeah.
After which, I mean, you have all the courage you need to face an exam. Then the second thing I did was to also have a social life. I wasn't really the social person like that, but I still had this circle of guys that we move together and we try to do things in common, especially playing video games and doing other exercise that requires maybe jogging or playing football. Yeah, that one too worked. Then learning when to say no is key. I mean, don't allow your other activities to come into the time for rest. Or maybe somebody is bringing stuff for you to do, which you get a financial reward at the end. But I mean, it's time for you to do a very important academic activity.
Yes.
You need to know when to say no. Or if possible, if you have someone else who is also as good as you are, that can help you deliver that task without you bothering the person bringing the job that you're not going to do it, well, that's time for you to, get a team that will assist you with certain tasks. We had things like that where you can get a job, you pass it on to the next person, probably get a commission off it. The job is done, you had your rest, everybody is happy. It's a win-win for everybody.
Yes.
Then another thing is to have a hobby. I mean, have a go-to activity that helps you relax. Everybody should actually have one. I mean, unconsciously, you know that there's always something that you can go to when you are about to experience burnout, and that activity helps you relax. For some of us,
It's
could
baking
could be baking.
and cooking.
For some of us, it could be baking, it could be cooking. I mean, it's an activity that works for him.
Yes.
For others, it could be playing video games. For others, it could be just scrolling on YouTube, listening to documentaries like anime. I mean, Some will just listen to one documentary or one movie, probably one anime, for how long, and they won't get tired of it. So it helps them relax. These are activities that help people relax. Then for professional life, almost the same thing. Create time for rest, set boundaries. I mean, these activities will help you to maintain good life-work balance. For example, back in the day in school, I remembered a lot of my classmates who, when they came into school, a whole lot of their life just went
Stopped.
flat. For example, they stopped going to church.
Ah,
They never, probably they stepped foot, probably the first few weeks they came into school. But later on, that part died. Every time, Monday to Sunday, they're in the studio. Sometimes they are not working, they are just gisting. It just became
Yes.
part of them that part of their life just died off. So when you set boundaries, things like that won't happen. But because they just got carried away with the whole pressure from school, they took away some activities, focused on others, and moved on with their life. Well, I hope they got back to their feet after the whole this thing. But these things are they are things that actually help you to
Okay.
maintain work-life balance.
but to add the one thing I think should be goal or key is having friends that share the same goal with you. That is very, 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 very important because you guys tend to move together. Like everything you're doing makes sense. Like if you have I think we all have friends for like different things, but like if you try to put your professional life with someone that's not doing the same thing, it's either going to seem like you're doing too much or you're taking life too seriously. But if you're with someone that has that same idea or goal with you, it's like, yes, I'm on the right path. And then it's almost like you'll be trying to meet up with the person is going to be trying to meet up with you, and you guys will just be progressing and
It
you
feels
know
natural.
exactly. And you just be doing and be going and be stepping up and be
So just before we go, let us just make a comparison. Compared to the challenges the architecture students face with time management in school and the challenges the professional architect face, which one is more challenging? Professional practice or managing your time in school, in your own opinion?
For me, I think the life as a student is less challenging than that as a professional. The reason why I'm saying this is that in as much as we have so many courses, one thing I've noticed both as just a normal course rep and also as a class rep is that all these changes can be moved. All those submissions, deadlines, they can be changed, they can be moved. Lecturers are human beings, they listen to you. So it's usually flexible.
They can be empathetic.
Yes. It's their time frame for anything, it's usually flexible. But as a professional, you don't have that liberty to move certain things because in real life situation, time is money. If the client doesn't get what he or she wants at a particular time, it's either he or she is bleeding money or you are bleeding money for the office. Because at the end of the month, you need to get paid. So the more jobs you guys do
The more
within
money
a
you
month,
make within the
the more
month,
money you guys make.
yeah, sure.
Exactly. So you can't actually start moving things around just like that when it comes to professional life.
practice, right? What about you? What do you think?
I think as
Share
a
the same
student,
opinion?
The reason why as a student is going to be tougher is that you don't have a choice, you just have to do it. And the reason why as a professional is the reason why some people will say as a professional is easier is because as a professional this time around, those stress you're doing as a student, you're getting rewarded for it. As a student, you're just doing for grades, and it's not like grades not important, but we are human beings. There's just I think that's why we might say that that's a different thing as a student. But like he said, on the professional field, like money is involved, shit is getting real. Like you have to be active. And another thing about these things is that your work always speaks for yourself. Any small something that happens is always going to be recorded that this person did like this, and it's always going to be like affecting your portfolio and stuff like that. So you always have to try your best to always turn up and to always be that G in the thing you get. So it's a bit more like taxing, and yeah.
That if you do well in the office, they reward you with more work.
No, wait.
Or
No,
more
no, no,
money.
no, no, no,
Or more
no,
money.
no, no, no. The office own is okay. The office own is when you do the way the office own is if they give you work and you do it well, they give you work, you do it well, you give you work, they give you work. Like the way it is in offices is that it's not everybody is not in the same journey in the professional stuff. Some are higher, some are still coming up, some just graduated from school. So if you keep turning up, trust the professional there is can just be like, oh, I want to do something and I feel like this is too much for me, I want to add somebody. Maybe the OGs that he normally work with, they are not available. He's like, oh, this guy in the office, I think I can use this person to go for it. And then you earn your money for all the times you worked twice.
Well, for me, I think students managing your time is challenging as well as when you are a professional working. They also come with their unique challenges. Let us even look at managing your time as a student. You are coming into the architecture profession as a student like a novice. That's the biggest challenge you have. You're almost struggling. But then, with age comes experience. You start finding your balance. So it may be as if it's very challenging in school.
First.
But here comes it now. You're going to spend a very short period of time compared to the amount of time you spend in a professional practice. And each project comes with its own unique challenges. So you can now see that even though life as a student is challenging because you don't have so much experience, navigating through your time in school, but you can also compare the challenge you face as a student to the challenge you face in practice because of the so many factors you mentioned. Money is involved, time is involved, inflation is going up. And then there's also this mindset I had that no matter how serious a project is in school, it is just a hypothetical project.
True.
It is not a real project. Even though there are rewards at the end, you can get your big grades. I mean, A is 70.
Lecturer can pick you.
So even though you don't know when you've done enough to get the 70,
True.
but A is 70 is not 100. So your lecturers here, they are your clients, they are doing everything to please them, but it is still hypothetical, it's not real. So whatever you are doing in professional practice is very real, and people's resources are involved, so you cannot compare the challenges. Then you also have almost a lifetime to practice, and the challenges keep getting tougher if you're an architect and know what you're doing, right? If you know what you're doing, you keep facing new
Different
challenges and all
challenges.
that. So the challenges you face trying to manage your time as a professional, even though you've gathered all the experience you need at least to keep you at a level higher than where you were as a student, is still challenging.
Okay, I think it's safe to say that we suffer as a student to find professional life easier.
Okay. Yes. All the experiences you are going to garner as a student will help you to
Navigate your
navigate.
professional life.
Yes, but that doesn't still mean that
That
the
is
challenges
equal.
you face as a professional is going to be less because
No,
you have
no,
all
no,
the
no.
experience. Because nobody has all the experience. You may face different kind of project, and each project you need to do different things to be
Yeah.
able to. Because what is required for you to do a well-designed and well-thought-out airport terminal is different from what is required to do a well-designed and well-thought-out
Yeah.
hospital. So each design is coming with its unique challenges. Even when you are doing housing, for example, you are doing a 5-bedroom duplex for a particular client, you won't get the same experience from doing the same five-bedroom duplex for another
Yeah.
client. Clients with their unique design ideas, unique expectations, and what they are expecting at the end of the day. It varies. It varies.
I think it's a beautiful thing that we actually have a YouTube video on transitioning from students to professional field. So you can check it out and know more about it.
So it has been an interesting episode. Just before we wrap up, what advice can you leave out there for a student architect who is somewhere in school struggling with managing his time, or for a student who is about to enter the tertiary institution, he's about to start his architecture journey? What advice do you leave for them? And then for professionals who are already in the field, who also need to manage their time.
Okay, so I'm going to drop this for the three of them, the three categories that you mentioned. As architects, we design to solve problems, and you need to see time as a problem that needs to be designed. It's as simple as that. If you don't design your time, you are bound to fail. There's this saying that whenever you don't plan, you plan to fail. So you need to start working with a plan. Now, how do you now work out your plan? Because whatever works for me might not work for somebody else. You need to know yourself. That is the first thing. What is your peak hours? When do you do your best? What time frame do you excel? You need to figure all these things out. You need to actually ask yourself questions that you can answer and quantify those answers into manageable parts. If you can actually do these things, you're on the road to excelling. Yes.
Well, like you said, plan. I don't know, but like for the people that are still yet to enter architecture school and those currently in architecture school, okay, for those yet to enter, I feel like everything takes process. I don't know if you guys are with me, because I don't know whether I would say it's being too hard on yourself to be so disciplined from first day and like that, and then you continue. And I'm not saying it's bad, but I feel like everything takes process. So as you're still yet to enter architecture school, I don't think you should be all like, oh my god, what do I need to get done before I enter? Just calm down. You're going to like get the hang of it as you climb up. But I think it's just, if you want to start doing something before coming, I feel you should you can check out softwares. I mean, being a literate in computer, right? Computer literacy is very, very, very nice. It is key, exactly. It's very important. Even if your school don't offer, you can do it on your own. Wow, yeah. Then you can also just basically try out creative stuffs that you think would work out for you, that brings out that creative thing in you. Then as a student, please, you guys should stop this thing that architecture is everything. It is not. It's not good. Start now and start prioritizing things. Even as much as, yes, you prioritize design as first. It's good though, but other things. Go to church. Go out, make friends, do other things. You're a human being. Architecture is not everything, right? Also, there's this thing that happens, I don't know, I think it happens to students when we come out from school immediately. All this stuff about, oh, I'm passionate about architecture. It's my passion. Then because of the passion, you start maybe that time, because there's this thing that happens when we just come out from school, we are like hot cakes. Everybody wants to work with you because you just graduated. Then you start collecting small amounts for a big size of job because you feel like, oh, when I do it, I'm doing it I'm passionate about these things. I'm enjoying what I'm doing. And then you stop thinking about it like a business. Last, architecture is a business. So treat it like one. For other professionals, I think there's this thing that normally happens amongst us architects. When a fellow architect subcontracts a work to another architect, it mostly happens when if we are not close friends, maybe somebody reached out to you and you're busy, you now refer the person to me. There's always this thing of okay, let me just paint a scenario. Let me say you were paid 500k to do this job. Obviously, when you're looking for somebody else, sometimes you may not actually have to pay that same thing. But I feel like we are in this same shit together and we know how taxing it is, how draining it is, how stressful it can be. So I feel like you should be considerate when trying to learn that work out and not trying to get the best of that person. Because most times the person you're going to reach out to is going to be somebody that is a bit lower than you in the profession you get. And then you then start trying to milk this person to get that work done that you collected at 500k at 50k or 100k. And you're going to be at the benefiting side, right? And most times it happens when this other lower person don't really know so much about this thing. I feel like we should all have let's say Christian mind in this thing, and just be considerate, because there's a reason why you're not doing it, because it was a bit too much for you. So yeah, I do not like that, and I feel like we should work like we
It's
should
like
be
you have a
our
vendetta that you're airing out. Just
no 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 it
advice to
has
professional architects
no
on how
it's
to manage
am
their
I
time.
advising them, but like I feel like no, I mean we're in this shit together, so like we should all be our brothers and sisters keepers in this thing. Stop trying to milk the other person, it's not nice.
Okay,
I don't
Okay.
like it.
that's good.
So the advice is put God in what you are doing and be good.
Okay, for me, I think for the student who is yet to start his architecture journey, I feel the person should first of all have this culture of planning yourself. When you have a culture of planning things out, it helps you so that when things get difficult, you try and organize them properly in such a way that you'll be able to attend to the ones you can, or probably attend to everything. So it's a culture they need to develop even before they step into architecture. Because architecture is all about planning, planning, planning. And like Eugene said, if you don't plan, you have already planned to fail. So they need to have that culture of planning before they enter the School of Architecture. Then for those who are already studying, but they are finding it difficult to manage their time, yes, it's not too late. It's not too late. You can always pause, reset, and start afresh.
Yeah.
Starting afresh in this one doesn't mean you're going to, let's say you're in your 300 level and you're struggling, then starting afresh, you want to go and start from first year. No. There's always a starting point where you feel, okay, let me go back and reset my plans, work on them again, and come back. So it's always that point where you can refresh. Then for those who are already in the professional practice, yeah, it's very important for you to set boundaries. Work is work. Other part of your life still need your attention. Always know when to set boundaries. If work ends by 5, 6, yes. Some days you may have to spill over, but let it not be a regular part of your life, whereby every day is like a spillover day. You work till 10, you work till, you don't have a particular time when you stop work and do other things. So for professionals, they need to clearly draw the line between work and other activities, their personal life inclusive. Then they also need to learn to delegate, right? As architects, we always think that any task we don't do ourselves, that we pass on to the next person.
It's not
The
done
person
well.
can never ever do it
As much as
the way we
you
do it. Yes, it may be real, but sometimes we need to throw away that mindset, Try and delegate tasks to other people. Let them do for you. And then you try to follow up with them to ensure that the task is done to a good degree. Another thing too we need to also do to manage our time properly is to rest, right? Rest. I mean, we are not trees and we are not log of food. I mean, body no be firewood. So when we work, we need to create time to rest. If you're also the type like Eugene that will give himself a solo treat, solo date,
period.
do it. I mean, do it. Getting refreshed is very important for you to be able to achieve the set goals you have in future. I mean, you need to rest at present to be able to do more in future. So don't overestimate the role rest plays in helping you manage your time. Then the last but not the least thing is to find an activity that you find very interesting. These activities could be exercise, it could be hobbies, it could be watching movies, it could be playing games for a lot of us. Those activities can help you to recharge when you're about to get burnout, so that you don't end up getting at the end of it being burnout. So you need to find those activities and have all those go-to activities that help
And
you recharge.
they have to be physical-based activities.
Yes, exercising is very important. Architects live sedentary lifestyle where you
Yes.
sit behind the computer for long hours. You need to exercise, you need to stretch your body.
Yes.
Let the blood flow. I mean, let the blood circulate very well. Very important. So it has been an interesting episode. In today's episode, we've covered time management challenges for both architecture students and those in the professional field. We've also seen some of the techniques that worked for us and the other techniques that are out there, which may work for you. So feel free to drop in the comment section any technique you feel that worked for you, which we didn't cover in this video. And of course, stay with us, as in the next episode, we're going to be talking about architecture and technology. There is this saying that AI is coming for our jobs. Is it true? Is it a thing? Will AI come for our jobs? So yeah, we're going to see how architects can use these AI tools. Yeah, AI as a tool and not coming to replace architects. I mean, we have a lot more to cover in the next episode. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, share the videos. Catch you in the next one. Peace.